Hi, everyone. You're welcome to the very first edition of Guys Connect. This is Seth here. I'm so excited to have a couple of my friends here with me to talk. I know we have the talk that men don't talk, but now, here we are to talk. And with me here, I have very good friends, some of which I've known for so many years. With me, I have PK. PK.
Hi, good to be here.
I,
GC.
okay, I have Adekunle.
All right, good to be here too.
I'm
Hello.
sure it's not Adekunle Good, right?
That one.
And of course, Adekunle Diamond. Okay. Of course, here I have with me Jay. I call him Edison Jay, and definitely Victor Vekadex.
Pumped to be here.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Yeah, today we'll be talking about gender agenda. I know some of you will be wondering what's gender agenda. I think I'd like to kickstart this with a very interesting question. I know there's so many controversies around gender issues, especially when it comes to men, how relating with women and all that. But I'd like to start with what does gender equality means to you, and if you believe in it, do you believe in it? I'll start with Vicadex.
Thank you, Seth. I know there are conflicting views about what gender equality means, but for me, I believe it's a situation where opportunities that are to men should be available to women. To me, that is what I think gender equality should be. And if that is what you think it means, then I believe in gender equality. But any other excesses beyond these are things that I might find challenging to stand by.
Okay, I'll probably come back to you, but I'd like to hear other people's view because I know probably those excesses are some of the reason why those who don't believe in it might not believe. I'd like to hear from Dekunle.
All right, sir. So, for me, or maybe by virtue of my background, my
Okay.
professional background, there is no general acceptable definition of gender equality. But like Victor rightly said, depends on the context. Now, will make me support if there's gender equality or not. Like people have gone to extreme with the definition. Everybody wants to do respectfully, I don't mean the other gender.
Okay.
They want to do what the guys are doing. And if you look at it generally, fair enough, they should be given same opportunity. But like I said, if you put it into context, there are some things that, okay, sorry to joke about this. Let's say you want to dig a ball. Are you saying the two gender can actually dig? Should they be given that opportunity to?
Exactly.
As a guy, I would say no. Let guys do this. This is what a guy should do. So, like I said, if you are bringing it into perspective, the
Yeah.
context, I
Yeah.
will support gender equality. But outside that, I really do not think we should overflog it. It's just natural. Let's just take it naturally that we can't all be equal in most circumstances. That is my view.
So what I'm hearing now is your support for gender equality is conditional. Let me hear
Not
from
necessarily conditional, depending on the context we are actually bringing it for.
Okay, let me hear from Jay.
Yeah, I think for me, especially in the workspace, I think I'd like to use that. I just understand it as people wanting same opportunities, the same chance to just prove themselves and bring value to the table. Sometimes that's is rife in terms of the kind of pushback that people can get, whether as females or males, and it's really relative in my mind. So from my understanding, it is find the qualified person that gives you the optimum value for what you're looking for. And so when people say they try and push the conversation into a gender kind of situation, I just sort of pull back because as much as possible I like to just stay neutral. So do I believe in it? Yes and no. Do I support them? Yes and no. So
I think that's the making of a politician there, right? I am for everyone. I am for no one. I'd like to hear from PK, and for me, it's very important to hear from PK because he's also married. So maybe you might be able to put it into perspective.
Well, all right. Um, Typically, I don't even expect that gender equality matter should come up
Okay.
personally. But because of the years of deprivation that they've experienced, hundreds of years, where even in America, it was only in the 1930s that women are now given deliberate opportunities. Before then, you're supposed to just make the home and keep the home, right? So, but from the beginning, really, I gender was not supposed to be an issue. But because of cultures and lately religion, they now tend to want to fight for where they feel that they've been deprived. And I think the fight is getting overboard. It's taking too far now, to the point that, just like Dikunle was saying, they want to insist they can do everything a man does. So I think, ladies, it's okay. We understand you. I think you need to calm down.
That is one of the worst things.
So, all right. So, but I think it's okay. I mean, they are like us in very many ways. So they should be given their fair opportunities.
But not equal, right?
Well, the equality part will boil down to what? Equal in what, for example?
I think for me, basically, I think looking at it from equal access to opportunity, I can understand that. But I think, like many of us probably will allude to, the narrative is being pushed beyond that. So, for example, even at a place of work where you want to engage somebody, and because we want gender inclusion. I believe in gender inclusion, by the way, but so what I'm about to say may sound like I don't, but I do. So if because we just want a lady, so the lady may not be the most qualified for that role, but because we just want to have some equality or some inclusion, let's just patch it up and all that. For example, will you go to an hospital and you have two surgeons to operate on you, and just for gender equality's sake, they said necessarily okay, they are both good, but can we let one go and just bring another female doctor? I'm not saying women are not qualified, don't get me wrong. I just feel sometimes we push it. I get the idea of let everybody have equal access. I have $2, by the way, so you can understand where I'm coming from. But at the same time, I think the narrative, I think why some men, especially in this part of the world, feel a bit somehow about it is just that the narrative to where we are pushing, and that's why I'm going to come back to him. I think he has something to say, because he mentioned that there are other narratives. Probably, I think this would be a good time to look at those other narratives.
Yeah, thank you, Seth. So, first of all, biologically, men and women are different.
Yeah.
Very.
And the only way that gender equality makes sense to me is from the place of access. And by saying we're making the same access available to both genders does not necessarily mean that we now have 50% of both genders in every aspect of life. It is only natural that by virtue of makeup, men gravitate towards some kind of jobs and women gravitate more towards others.
Yeah.
Right? So it's that if a woman wants to be a president and she's qualified, let her be able to run for presidency without anyone using her gender against her. If either you are male or female, if you have reasons why you're not qualified and you don't get the job, it should be understandable. But the reason why you are being shut down should not be gender. And some of the things that I think comes to mind would be things around. When we talk about access to opportunities, for example, a Ferrari and an Honda, they have the same rights to the road. Now, you can drive an Honda from Lagos to Abuja, no matter how bad the road is, because it's rugged enough. You may not want to do that with a Bentley. Not because a Bentley cannot go on that road if you really want it to go. But if you feel like, okay, this road is too bad for my Bentley, I will not take it. I think I want to care more for my Bentley. And I think that's what it should be. So when all the opportunities are available, if there's a woman that wants to dig a borehole, let her be able to do that without feeling like this is a man's job. But then it's only natural or sensible that there will be more men who would do that kind of job than women. And again, gender should not be the thing that determines whether you're good enough for a job or not. You know, if we take physical strength, for example, I don't think I can fight the heavyweight champion in the women's category by any means. She definitely has more strength than I do. So there are more women who have some masculine tendency that many men or than most men, and there are some men who have feminine tendencies who are more caring. There are fathers who are more caring than mothers in the same family. So we know that men and women are not just one solid slab of demography. There are differences, and those will inform the way we think about it. I think my time is gone, so I'll just pause here.
Yeah, thank you, Victor, for that. And that leads me to the next point I want to raise is from the aspect of gender equality or equity as it comes to relationship or every aspect of our life? Because I think it raised something which is quite interesting, and that leads me to this question: are we talking about gender equality, or we're talking about equity, and relating it to relationships? So I like PK to go on this.
I think it's about both
Okay.
when it comes to relationship.
Okay.
So couples are partners, husband, wife, male, female. We're supposed to be partners to help ourselves, to be there for each other. So equality, yes. So nobody is seeing himself as higher than the other or commandeering his way. It's just about understanding. So equality in that sense is fine. With understanding, equality in the sense that no one is less a human being than the other. So you are not expecting her to do some degrading thing because she's a woman.
Okay.
I mean, I do dishes sometimes in my home. If my wife is tired, I make breakfast.
Yeah.
She does far more than me in those things, but sometimes I do too.
Yeah.
So because I see her as an equal person to me, right, with me in that sense. But then when it comes to equity, I don't expect her to be able to bear everything I bear.
Yeah.
So I may do more than her in some other things that are physical. I mean, taking care of stuff, changing tires and all.
Yeah.
So, but in some other ways, she makes up. That's where the equity comes in. So fairness comes in, and then the sense of partnership rather than one person lording over the other.
Yeah.
So that's how I want to balance it when it comes to relationship and marriage.
Yeah, thank you, PK, for that. And I think that's very, very profound. And I think that also has to do with the way most boys are raised. I think it's very important. I just want to throw that in because if you are raised in the, I think if you are raised in the house where you believe that, oh, this particular role is for women, when you are doing this, a guy shouldn't do that. I think some of the guys grew up with that mindset that no, I remember having a conversation with a couple of guys a couple of years ago, and the guy said he was living with his brother. So after the wife cooked, the brother's wife, that sister-in-law, cooked, and he ate his food, and the wife said, why didn't you wash your plates? Why would you ask me to wash my plate? I don't wash plate. And guess what? This guy actually left the brother's house because why we this sister-in-law asked him to wash plate that is not supposed to be done by a guy. And I think I can't remember the number of times it was like a thing in my house. You cook, as a guy you cook, you do everything like the other ladies will do. I think, but that's on the topic for another. And that leads me to the next question. The next question for me, and I think where I want us to come in is, do you think is with this gender equality and equity, the conversation, inclusion, and all that, do you think it's more difficult to be a man now in this world than it was, with our maybe fathers or grandfathers?
It's never existed in my house.
Okay.
My dad takes responsibility when he needs to. My mom takes responsibility.
Okay.
I can recall there are times that my dad would travel and mom has to cater for us. There were times when dad had challenges and mom was always there. So there's this love in the family.
Okay.
There was nothing like, I have never seen my mom say, there's no equity, or come around to say gender equality. It has never been. And God has also blessed me again.
But are you sure? Are you really sure that was not the case, or it's just a case of probably maybe submission, understanding, but deep down in her heart somewhere?
No, not at all. Not at all. There were times that my mom would pay my fee without even informing my dad.
Yeah.
In fact, all through my secondary school, my dad never came to my school for open day, not even once.
I can
Do
understand.
you understand?
My dad never did too.
So she did it because she loved her house. She knows the husband is not always around, and they communicate. I see how the love is. There was no issue of gender equality or do this or do that. My dad, he does what he needs to do without any issue with it. Then my mom too did that thing in the same way. And God also blessed me with my fiance now. She's someone that understands too. I don't think she has ever raised the issue of gender equality.
I hope she's watching somewhere now.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Part of her.
She's not.
I'm using this video to say a shout out to her anyway.
That is-
There are days like that, okay, on the other hand, I'll just, let me just transfer to her. Maybe after we've left. There are times she's, how do we, in fact, before saying the bill, she'll guess the bill. Okay, I've transferred my own.
Are you not sure that some guys watching this right now will be trying to have a
Yeah, but
number
that-
to find out whether she has younger sisters so that they can just I'm just
No,
kidding.
but for me, I think that should be the ideal thing. Like
Yeah.
Josh said, let us know what you are even coming to the table with if you're having all of these expectations. And ironically, and I don't mean to be disrespectful. You see those girls that actually do not have anything. Those are the ones that even have these expectations. Unfortunately.
There was a lady that I was listening to, and then she was like, when she gets married, she expects the man to take care of everything, pay the bills, pay this one, pay that one, take care of her. Like
Yeah.
she's supposed to be just living that baby girl lifestyle. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but then this is the question that some of them now struggle with. What do you bring to the table?
Ah,
And they're like, you know what's coming. I am the table. I'm like, you're a piece of furniture. So I'm then like, okay. And then the lady wants this and that, and she has this way of tabling her expectations, and then it's something that also happens here and there. I'm like, okay, how do we merge this with reality?
sorry for question, but don't you think that with the gender equality, that shouldn't be on the guy
So
alone now?
that would then be an interesting conversation, because you I get in conversations with ladies, for instance, and they're like, when they go out on dinner, they expect the guy should pay for the bill.
I like
But
that.
I'm like, Shebi, you were the same person fighting for equality or equity.
Yeah.
But then you now find some other ladies that have maybe been acculturated or whatever to believe that they like to contribute to, when I go out with my guy or with anybody, I want to pay for my bill as well, or at least chip in.
Yeah.
You also find some other people that would say, I always hold emergency funds. When I'm going out to eat, because I don't want to go and wash plate anyway.
Quickly.
Yeah, I grew up in a family where there were strong maternal figures.
Okay.
So as a child, it never occurred to me that there were things that women were not allowed to do.
Okay.
My mom is a nurse. My grandmother is a teacher. So, I mean, both are educated, both went to school. So I always had the outlook of, women can do whatever they want to do. However, I think it's progressively becoming challenging to be a man in today's world.
Okay.
One of those things you think about is the negligence of the boy child. It's akin to what happens with racism and reverse racism.
Okay.
So we've seen that there have been a deficiency in supporting women in all of these years. So now we are putting so much resources
Yeah.
into building up the girl child that the boy child begins to feel like they are left alone or they are abandoned.
Yeah.
So you see 1 million programs teaching girls to code, and then you see none for the boy child.
Exactly.
So what that happens, what that feels like is you're padding up and you're preparing the girl child at the expense of the boy child. We see that in the workplace where, because of sacrifice,
Yeah.
the additional experience the guy might bring to the table because you want to fulfill the gender equality. Of course, the woman will get the job done. But those are some of the
Yeah.
issues that we may have to grapple with.
Yeah.
I think we are. Because if you want to prove equality or you want equity, then you have to step up your game. So as a woman, are you really ready? Like I was saying earlier on, 35% in Nigeria for women inclusion in governance. But Dekunle rightly said, not many of them, have stepped up to the plate.
Yeah.
So if we are now in that new age where we want to be equal and be equitable in what we do, then why not? You're welcome. So it will end up being better for the men.
Okay, just quickly before I go to my last question, I think I just want to raise the another because one of the major challenge we have. I know this is not a church program, but I think there are Christians or people of faith who are watching and who believe. And most of the religions, Christianity, Islam, believe in a marriage or relationship, the man is supposed to be the head and all that. But I think because of that, this equality thing. So we're having that conversation challenge that you will be having. We are equal, and like someone will say, is the man and the woman the head now, and like someone will say, when you have any organization or any organism that has two heads, is what?
Monster.
It's a monster. So how do we balance the issue of gender equality, gender inclusion, and all that as it relates to marriage relationships, especially from the place of faith?
Okay. So I think leadership is very critical.
Okay.
So I don't see it more as a head, the way we're emphasizing it as a
Okay.
head. It's just about leadership.
Okay.
Anywhere you are, you have to have a leader.
Yeah.
Sometimes a decision gets to be taken and somebody has to be able to take responsibility
Yes.
and lead the way. That's how I see the role of a man in a marriage.
I like that.
Leadership.
I like that leadership. I like that.
Also, I don't know if I can ask a question.
Go ahead.
it might sound a bit controversial,
Yeah.
but okay, let me put it this way. I think from my own perspective, I would like to ask. Okay, let me put it out as a question. So,
Okay.
why do we have, especially in this part of the world, we don't have females or the female gender heading churches?
Churches.
If you look at 99% of the churches, the general overseer, pastor, and all of that, it's just the men. So is it that our females are not should be equally represented too? Should they not clamor for gender, equality or
Okay.
equity
I think
in the place of worship too?
I think Fike will respond to that, and I know why I asked him. But I also think people should leave a comment. I know it will be good to get that feedback of what
Yeah.
people's thought
No.
about, not just on this and every other thing we'll be discussing,
Yeah.
basically, because it'll be good to get that feedback to be able to
Yeah.
know what people are saying. But I'd like Fike to respond.
I'm
to that.
actually curious.
Even though
Thank you
I
so
know
much.
one or two churches, by the way.
Okay.
Like I
headed
said,
by women, but-
maybe not 100,
yeah,
like
maybe
90, 95%.
Fike on this
So I think it's also good to like this show and share it with others so
Yes.
they can be part of it.
yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's theological. It's not. It's more theological here. Fine, we have the cultural side to us in Africa.
Yeah.
But it's also very theological because it's a place Paul said that a woman should not speak in church. So, but they didn't understand what he meant by that.
Yeah.
So they have taken that and hook, like, and singer. No woman is allowed to head the church. So I think women should be given more opportunities. So it depends on the context. There's a spirit of a thing and a letter of a thing. When you have fired up women, gifted women. So what would you say? You will not allow them contribute in a church? No, that's not the essence. So it's addressing the issue of confronting men or trying to show that you can also maybe domineering kind of tendencies, trying to curb it, was part of the reason why Paul said, let there be order. Let everything be done decently and in order. But there's nothing about the female gender as a gender that disqualifies her from contributing in leadership within a church setting. So I think with time, we're going to get better with that in Africa. But basically, it's more theological even than cultural.
Okay, thank you very much, Vicky. I probably would not like to delve into theological stuff right now, but thank you for the fantastic response. And that leads me to the last question we're going to probably discuss on this episode before we talk about the next episode. But it's like
Yeah, sorry,
Victor wants to say something. He's been burning to say something quickly.
But I wanted to talk about this, and one of the things that comes to my mind is there's this line from the first Black Panther movie.
Okay.
You're a good man,
Yes.
and it's difficult for a good man to be a
good
king,
yeah.
to be a good king, because there are certain expectations of you.
Yeah.
So in a country like Nigeria, if you're gonna build any organization or lead anything, there's a kind of ruggedity and tenacity that you must have. It's a society construct that breaks many men. So if you're gonna lead anything in Nigeria, whether you're a man or a woman, there's a kind of tenacity that you must have. And it is normal for more men to have such tenacity than women. Not that women cannot do it, but the tenacity. And I think the other thing that I want to talk about is this issue of chores and everything. And you see people argue a lot on Twitter that, a man comes from work, sits in the sitting room, and then the woman comes from work and cooks dinner and all of that. And I know of course it is definitely responsible for you to just sit down and do nothing when someone else is doing so much for you. But I would like some people to understand that it is not just a byproduct of the man trying to be domineering. If you've seen young men who live alone, most of them will not cook in a week. So it is not that they do not want to do it. It's just something they have gone accustomed to. Before I got married, there were months where I only cook once or twice. So I'll come back from work, I will open my laptop, do whatever I have to do, probably go and buy bread or something. And so at the heart of that is not a man trying to take advantage of a woman. It is a accumulation of lived experiences that we take a lot of educating out of or acclimatization out of to be able to work in synergy. So some of these things that we are clamoring, they are not intentional attributes. They are product of cultural education.
Sometimes I just imagine my life without women. or imagine a life without men. I think it was Peterson once said. He said it's a necessity, so, to have men, and also it's a necessity, as it were, to have women, because everybody has different roles that they play. And I think it's very important for our viewers to be able to understand that the reason why we have this conversation, and for men, is not for you to sit down one high table and say, I'm a man, cross your table, your leg on your table, watch Arsenal playing Manchester City, and say, because I'm the man, somebody else should do the job. No, you should be able to understand that if you have a daughter, is that what you want for your daughter? If you're in the same way, and if you have, as a woman, if you have a son, would you want him to be without help, without being complimented? So once you have that mindset, and I think we'll be fine. I see every woman, for me, as somebody like my sister, somebody I should be able to support, and this vice versa. I see them as people I should be able to get support from, and that leads me to the next. And I think there are other challenges men have when it comes to gender issue. Please, I'd like those watching, leave a comment, leave your thoughts. What are other challenges that you think men are facing as men? Are facing when it comes to the issue of gender. Remember, our topic is the gender. But I'm going to ask everyone around this last piece of question before we go. That the truth is, as men, most time, I remember growing up seeing my sisters being trained to say, when you go to your husband's house. I never recall having a conversation with my dad sitting me down to say, you see, as a man, you have to do this. In fact, the other conversations I've always had is, when you want to cry, you're a man, don't cry. Chin up, and all that. And so that leads me to the question, to everyone here, do you think the men in our lives actually prepared us for the role, the life we want to live now as a man, especially in this gender equality, gender equity, gender whatever society we are living now? I'll go with Josh first.
Were the places of preparation that I remember so vividly, and then there were other places where I felt, this wasn't so great, but I gave my dad that slack. I gave that excuse that he's not perfect. Nobody is perfect. We're all pushing forward towards something. So, in terms of that, when it came to how to lead a family, how to respectfully treat your wife, how to handle your children, I think one of the most powerful things that I learned from my dad was a particular time where me and he, two of us had a disagreement, right? And then I was of this opinion, and my dad was of this opinion, and he was saying, I'm going to have my way because I'm the dad. And I was like, you don't always have to write it out on me like that. You can just consider what I'm saying and just see if. And then he was like, no, he's not having it and all of that. And I felt really displeased with that. So I felt, you know what, there's one superhero that I can call on in this situation, my mom. And she came in that day, and she was like, okay, what's going on between you and that? And then my dad explained the situation. And then I said, yes, he pretty much covered all the facts except X, Y, Z. And then I laid it out. And I was expecting her to have my side on it. But then what my dad then did before my mom responded was something that even till now resonates so strongly with me. My dad said, no, you are not going to respond. He was talking to my mom. He said, you are not going to respond. That my relationship with Joshua is very different from my relationship with you. You will not come and be a wedge between the two of us because I am you, you are me. We're not going to do any of that. Our relationship is one like this. So taking sides was totally out of it. So for me, it was, even though I didn't understand it now in that moment, over time when I got to reflect, I saw, oh wow, this was really powerful.
Okay.
And then bringing it to the other side where I felt like, okay, maybe this could have been better. For instance, growing up, I had issues with anger, right? And it was because I couldn't make sense of the world around me, especially because when I was about 3, 4, my dad used to be my best friend.
Okay.
Best friend. Everything and anything I could just tell him. I mean, I would watch TV shows that they will say particular slangs, and I will just run to my dad as he's coming back from work, carry his bag, and I'll be like, Dad, I watched this on TV. What's the meaning of For instance, I think it was Mobley that I watched,
Okay.
and they said a word heebie-jeebies.
Okay.
I mean, who knows what that means, right? That wasn't really there.
So basically, your dad, you consider him a friend growing up.
I mean, he's my father. So when I have,
Okay. Also,
You know?
okay. I'd like to hear from Kule. Do you think your it may not be your dad? Maybe like the question I asked. Many people have different male. Some people they didn't actually have that kind of relationship with their
yeah,
dad.
they didn't even have
And
that.
so maybe, but it could be another male figure in their life. That do you think the male figure, either your dad or any other male figure in your life, prepared you for? Exactly.
Sit down,
Exactly.
telling you, Kunle, this is how to do it. It's, guy, what's up? Oh, he just wants to know that okay, you are good.
You are
like
good.
he wants to provide for you or any other thing you should. But growing up, I had uncles I
Okay.
look up to. Then I bury myself in books too. I read about leaders, and when I'm interested in you, I want to study you, your
Okay.
family, what you do, how you do these things. So as an individual growing up, I won't say I had that personal relationship with my dad to prepare me for days like this, but I had uncles that prepared that I stayed with maybe during my holidays and all of that. So that actually helped me, prepared me for days like
Good.
this, and I can confidently say that I'm actually not scared of
Okay. Picky, I know you had a very good relationship with your dad.
Yeah, very good.
God bless his soul.
Yeah,
where
God
he is.
bless his soul.
But I'm sure you have other people in your life. I'd like to hear from you.
Yes, so just like him, my dad would not typically sit you down and tell you stuff, but he would leave it out. I mean, he would take me along, and then I see the way that he lived his life, the way he loved, especially, and related with people around him. So I picked a lot of lessons from his actions, hard work and boldness, getting things done. I mean, he would send me out to do some big stuff at 17 and 15 that adults of 30 should be doing. And, send me out to another state, to go get something done business wise and all. Yeah. So I pick all of those from him. So, but when it comes to this issue of gender thing now, they never get to sit us down and tell us that, I know when I was going to get, maybe for another day, when I was going to enter into courtship, like we used to call it, I remember I mentioned to him, and what he told me that day, I think I'll leave it to another session that we're going to have.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, but it's quite interesting that he tried to be as close as possible. But Africa, there's this shyness, that we don't get to talk to our children very well. And lastly, I think they do more for ladies, like you said.
Yes.
Oh, get ready for your husband's house.
Yeah.
I know nobody tells us. And I think the mother should even do more.
More.
The mother is a female, and she should prepare the men more how to treat females.
Yeah.
In a sense,
agree.
so that
I agree.
is the ladies doing all the dishes we growing up.
Yeah.
Even though that I got the opportunity, I probably would not know how to do it too.
Yeah.
Because they all give them to ladies. Yeah. So women need to do more. Men need to do more. Pay attention to your children, and then speak to them, not just the action.
Yeah, before I go to figure, I think that's very profound, and I think we need to. I always have maybe because I have girls, and it's very important that when we spend so much time, I'm not saying we shouldn't spend time on raising the girls, but it's very important that they're seeking to marry these boys, and these boys can come and destroy what so much hard work you have done raising the right girls, right, and other. So I think there should be some level of. Let me borrow the word we're using to the equity in raising the men and the women, so that at the end of the day we can have a better society. I'd like to hear from Victor before I round up.
Well, as a rebellious child,
Yeah.
and as from someone from a community that had a lot of low socioeconomic status people,
Yeah.
I would say the answer is no.
Yeah.
The lessons we learned were what not to be rather than what to be. What we had was example of how not to turn out. And I think secondly, even for both male and female, expectations have become very simplistic. All everybody tells you is you're a man, you must provide, you must make money. We are depending on you. You see people on Twitter
And
say,
that's why we have so much crime,
That's
by
a
the way.
blanket
The
treatment.
pressure is high.
you see people on Twitter say, I left home to feed home. So that becomes the sole weight on the shoulder of a young man.
Yeah.
And people do whatever it takes to make the money.
Yeah.
And women too are raised to expect. So, like we say jokingly, men have become ATM cards. Billions here, billions there, billions there from everybody. Like everybody just expects you to keep giving and giving and giving and giving and giving. Right? But I think again, like Josh said, that probably the dad did not know better. I think of a truth, many of them do not know better. They also did not have good fathers or perfect fathers. And I think we are beginning to see differences in this across class and socioeconomic status. People with parents who are well educated, who are well to do, tend to understand the value of raising boys right. So these are also lessons that we must learn. There are things that our own parents take for granted. Traveling, holidays, or why do you even need to do sport? Or just go and read your book. Why do you need to listen to the news? And these are the little things that reshape your outlook to like.
Yeah,
That's
thank you
that's
very
the
much.
goal.
Yeah, that's the goal. And for me, I think if I answer the question too, is I think it's very interesting. Growing up, I was raised by a man who was in the military, a soldier who was also more or less like a pastor, a deacon, and elder. So there's a mix, there's a spiritual discipline, and there's the physical discipline. I'll allude to many of you. We're all raised to see what you should be like. The kind of man you should be, just be a good man, and all that. Not a lot into details, how to relate with the female gender, the how. More like just see me, yeah, it has its part because some of us were lucky enough to be able to be that kind of child. You don't want to disappoint your dad because you look up to him, and I think saying that reminds me. I think I'll look forward to us discussing something about our dad for Father's Day. What do you guys think?
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah, I was just saying that it just came to my mind that it's something we should be looking forward to, and our viewers, I think, should look forward to that. We'll be having a very good discussion about, many guys don't talk about their diet like that. Just my big man, my boss, my whatever. I just have that kind of my palate. But it will be good to have that heart-to-heart talk about, one of my favorite poems says, "Daddy, are you proud of me?" by Nego True. I think maybe it would be good to ask those questions. Do you think
It's a
your dad
real
will be proud of
question.
you? But that's a story for another day.
Yeah, so before we round up, there's something that just came to my mind talking about this gender agenda thing, and I think like I mentioned, I grew up in a house where there were strong women who took care of families. Many had husbands that left with the community where I grew up, and I just lost it. Yes, so one of the delusions I had as a child was that men and women are the same.
Okay.
Because I had grown up in a place where I saw women who could lead, women who could, the women who were excellent in their careers, in their profession. I grew up with a delusion that men and women are the same.
Okay.
But in my own relationship, I've beginning to realize that in as much as men and women can excel in their work, in their careers, we are not the same. And I think one of the books that exemplified this is Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. And it took a while for me to understand that you cannot relate to a woman the way you relate to a guy.
Yeah.
The resolution of conflict is different.
Yeah.
And this is something that will begin to come into play multiple times in a world that wants to push a narrative that men and women are the same. The way we handle things are different. And when you're relating, when you're making decisions, when you're solving problems, if you don't understand this, you will get agitated. Like if it's me and my friend, we would have solved this in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Take this for example, like what do you want to eat? Joshua, what do you want to probably say? Let's go and buy this, let's go and buy this. You ask a woman the same question, you can spend the next 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And somebody even says, I don't even ask my wife what do you want to eat? Or where should we go? I'll just say, where's like the best restaurant in town? Because that will get me a better answer than the answer you give me.
yeah.
So these differences, as minute as they may be, they are significant and they are impactful in our relationship and the kind of result we can get.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, everyone, for being part of this very first edition of Guys Connect. I'm sure you had a wonderful time discussing the gender agenda. Please remember to subscribe, like, comment, and share, especially around the topic we raised, which is what are the other challenges you think men are facing in this era, especially this gender agenda era. We'll be glad to hear from you and very much discuss other topic. Look forward to some of the topics we mentioned. We'll be talking about, especially for the Father's edition, and for the next edition, we'll be talking about marriage and divorce. Don't worry, maybe not. Maybe we're talking about Akimi, the Akimi effect.